In a few weeks, things are gonna start to get crazy. I have a few projects that are gonna happen this fall and winter, and one of them involves a 3D printer. I actually ordered one, I have it right here, but I have no idea how to use it. So for all of you saying we should get a 3D printer for Berm Peak, we have one now. I have to dedicate this work week to learning how to use that 3D printer to a degree where I can kind of get by. So let's begin the process of setting it up and learning how to use it. So first of all, what is a 3D printer and why do we need one here at Berm Peak? Well, 3D printer is a lot like a printer that prints documents, except it doesn't use ink, it uses filament. It's like a big spool of plastic. And so the printer heats this filament, extrudes it onto a surface, and then prints another layer on top of it. And as it continues to print, sometimes hundreds or thousands of layers, it actually prints out an object that you can hold, that you can use. And a lot of this audience has actually sent me 3D printed creations, some of which I use. For example, this little GoPro adapter for the chin of my Fox Pro Frame helmet. This subscriber makes them for all different types of helmets right on his 3D printer. So if we had a good 3D printer here, not only could we enlist the help of engineers in the audience to make cool stuff, but in a pinch, I could print out spacers, adapters, and all sorts of weird things that are okay to be made out of plastic. Today, the goal is get this up and running, and maybe do a test print. It's doing something. Okay, just laying down some filament on there. Supposedly this is like a test print so that I can make sure it's working properly. Now it's not looking so good. It's just scraping away what it just printed. I'm going to cancel this real quick. So the first print didn't go the best. Some of it didn't stick to the bed, and at one point just crashed into the surface and just started scraping everything everywhere. So I'm gonna dig into each one of these issues, search the internet, and try and do better next time. Okay, I think I found the problem. I used the wrong filament. Filament matters. Different filament has a different melting point, different properties, and so I'm gonna have to really learn the differences between everything. Let me just see if it works this time. I can already see this print going way better than the last one. The thing is pretty user-friendly, so the next thing I'm gonna try to do is print a model off the internet. At least we can see if I can get from downloading it to printing it. So simply put, the slicer is a piece of software that takes a 3D model and converts it into something the printer can understand. With everything from temperature to speed to resolution to the order it's gonna print every part of the model. So that GoPro light mount as a proof of concept worked. And while that was printing, I actually was able to make something on an online 3D modeler. I tried to make a little CO2 holder that could zip tie to a bike, like my first creation. And we're gonna see if it prints. And if it doesn't, well, that's how I'm gonna learn the things that I'm gonna learn. Okay, so we definitely had a little mishap here, and if you look at the shape of it, it makes sense it got knocked over. It's like a tower. And for parts like these, you're supposed to generate support material. It does it automatically. It's like scaffolding to hold the thing together while it's printing. But the part that did finish printing seems to be somewhat functional, and so I'm gonna go in and try and improve it a little bit before we spend another few hours printing another one. Never mind that I already have CO2 storage right there. I'm having a lot of fun with the CO2 concept because most people put them in their backpack, their jersey pocket, strap them onto their tube. I'd say that OneUp has one of the slickest solutions. You screw it into the bottom of their multi-tool and then put it into the steerer tube. And I want to run with that steerer tube concept and see if there's another way we can store CO2. So I've been using this web-based modeling software called Tinkercad, and it's really simple. They give you a bunch of shapes, you can combine them, and then you can use negatives to create empty space, and it's truly remarkable. Ha, check it out. You just screw this thing in and it stays there. This gets hammered up into the steerer tube around there. This goes in, so you put a wrench all the way through here and you screw it up into the star nut. That's what keeps it in place. And then there's a thread that matches the CO2 so you can screw it in. Now this concept works. Looks kind of dangly and crazy, sticks out really far, but I was talking to Eric on the phone and he had a suggestion to make it much simpler, and that is printing out right now. And now we've got this star nut and this little adapter here, threaded so the CO2 screws into it. And then this is pressure fit to the CO2. Only works with this specific brand, but this is Burn Peak Engineering. And when you're actually using the CO2, this can be your handle. So thanks, Eric. That was a really good idea. But we're just getting started. This thing, the Miles Wide Fork Cork, it's this product you can stick under any steerer tube to just plug it up, stick some money up in there or something. I made a new bottom piece for it. So you thread it into the bottom of a fork cork, you stick your CO2 in it, and you screw your inflator on top of it. Don't puncture it. But now, toolless installation in any tapered steerer tube, just about. And I know the capabilities of a 3D printer go far beyond storing CO2 in your bike, but this is my first few days with one. I now know the diameter of a CO2 cartridge, and I'm excited. So I spent the last few days making countless items to familiarize myself with the basics of 3D modeling, but I'm here to tell you that making your own stuff is easier than using the printer itself. Tinkercad's free. You just make an account and you literally just start making stuff. There's no learning curve. I'll give you a really simple example. Let's say you want to make a stack washer that's 13.5 millimeters tall. So you get your outer diameter, you get your inner diameter, you start with a cylinder of the outer diameter, you put a smaller one inside of it for the inner diameter, and then you make it 13.5 millimeters tall. And in messing around with the software, I've been able to create some pretty elaborate things, considering it's free and you can learn it in 5 minutes. But that's actually not surprising because most everything on a bike is a cylinder. From the bolts to the seat posts to the handlebars to the water bottle to the axles, the steer tubes, stanchions. And so once I move beyond cylinders, I'll definitely be outgrowing this software, but for now, I'm having a lot of fun. But no matter what software you use, you can print something out on cheaper filament at draft quality, make changes to it until it fits, and then print it out on something stronger and higher resolution. It might be a stretch to call that prototyping, but it's the closest thing that we've done to it here at Burn Peak. The point of this was to get the 3D printer up and running, learn how to use it, learn how to do a little bit of 3D modeling, and I'm pretty happy. Really happy with this Prusa 3D printer. It costs a lot more than the other consumer options, but It's been dead reliable, it prints pretty fast. I know you can get into 3D printing for $200 or $300, but I wanted something that just worked out of the box. I wanted customer support and a specially designed software. And I'm excited to see the type of possibilities that this opens up on the channel. When we have a specific problem to solve, we can just come up with a solution and see if it works. And even if a 3D printed part is not strong enough mechanically, it can prove the concept and make sure the fitment is right. I know this week's video is a little different.
What the f?
A lot of CO2, but hopefully you learned something, and if not, I hope you at least found it entertaining. And if you have any interesting tidbits of information for me regarding 3D printing, put them down in the comments. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time. So you might be wondering where this 3D printer is going to live. I ordered something over a month ago that weighs over 1,000 pounds. It's coming on a pallet. And when that gets delivered, you'll find out where the 3D printer is going.